Force will be with you, always.
Hey everyone, I'm the black-haired Richard Korra Kenobi here, and I'm back again for another video. And today, we are going to be talking about one of my personal favorite Scooby Doo shows, and quite possibly the best Scooby Doo show ever made. And that show is Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated. What? That show from Cartoon Network? How could that possibly be the best one ever made? There are a lot of Scooby Doo incarnations. Some good, some bad, and some people just like to forget. But this one has always stood out in the back of my mind. Now, while I didn't watch it when it first came out, and ever since then I regretted it, it is the one that revolutionized the tropes and gave us something that we never thought we could have with this franchise. And that something is Scooby Doo can actually be an amazing, well-in-depth, well-told, story-based show. It's crazy, I know. Now, right off the bat, you would think that for the next Scooby Doo incarnation, they would just keep to the same formula we've seen dozens and dozens and dozens of times. In the very first episode, this shit gets real. Immediately, the gang are considered outcast and freaks by their own hometown of Crystal Cove, and also by their own family. And this is what the whole staff had the brilliant idea of doing. Taking the formula of Scooby-Doo and turning it on its head, and then some. Throughout the whole series, Mystery Incorporated set to uncover a strange new mystery that is an ongoing story throughout this whole series. And it is their job to figure out, is Crystal Cove all it has been cracked up to be? And honestly, I should just stop there, because if I continue to tell you guys what happens in this show, I will spoil the whole thing, and I can't do it justice. But let's talk about some of the other things I don't think is a spoiler. The characters have always been one-dimensional and just been seen as stereotypes. Fred's the leader who makes the traps, Velma's the smart one, Daphne's the one who gets in danger, and Scooby and Shaggy are the comedic relief. But in Mystery Incorporated, that trope and all of those stereotypes are thrown right out the window. They instead give these characters new, interesting personalities and give them flaws to overcome so that we can better relate to them and we can root for them in the end. In fact, these characters I can learn about and I can come to root for and love in the end. As I said, Fred's just the leader and the guy who makes the traps. But in here, that is turned up to 11. He is still the leader, and he does make traps. He's also trying to gain the approval of his father, who happens to be the mayor of Crystal Cove. And he's also trying to keep his friendship with Daphne just as a friendship. Throughout the course of this series, he tries to hold back his emotions, and as he puts it, he wants to just be cold and heartless like other guys. Thankfully, he comes out of his shell, and he becomes an interesting three-dimensional character that cares about his friends and eventually Daphne. Fred has always been my favorite character, so to see him get this amount of depth is amazing. And Frank Welker does an amazing job of showing us the emotions and the layers behind Fred in a way I don't even think I could have ever saw it done before. Now, as for Daphne. In here, Daphne has been longing for Fred to notice her, and she wants to just be with him because he's different from all the other guys. Now, while she doesn't get any major character flaws to work behind and eventually overcome, she is still relatable, and you can sympathize with her. She is fighting with her family, trying to make them see that Fred is different and he's a good guy, but they just want her to be like her multiple sisters. I do at least like Daphne is more than just danger-prone Daphne, so that was very good. Velma is a little bit controversial to talk about. In the past, Velma has always been the smart one, kind but bookish, but in here, she is sarcastic, sassy, and sometimes she has a little bit of a temper. And what's surprising, she's actually dating Shaggy. but it doesn't go the way you think. While I did not like this change myself, it eventually grew on me. I really did like on how Velma was portrayed here. They could have just kept her one-dimensional, but no, they did decide to make her more than just a tomboy. And by the way, they do acknowledge that. Instead, Velma does have her faults, but she does work to overcome those faults. And surprisingly, her skepticism is actually seen as a good thing here. So yes, I understand some people's hate for Velma's character here, but it does grow on you, and I would highly recommend you give her a chance. Now, Shaggy and Scooby. Oh my god, Shaggy and Scooby. They are still the same duo we all know and love. They eat food, they run from fear, and monsters alike. So yes, nothing's changed there. But, however, what's very interesting here is that they actually can have their brave moments. They actually can be, well, three-dimensional characters, independent characters. Scooby Doo has just always been the dog that just loves Shaggy, loves the gang, and just loves eating. But in here, he's actually very capable and smart. And he's actually got a few badass moments here and there. Especially in the end of this show. Oh my god, that was awesome. Shaggy is more relatable here than I ever thought he could be. Again, he still loves food, but he is trying to keep his relationship with Velma and Scooby on an equal balance. And he does care about them, but he ultimately has to decide which one does he love more. And it does create some unique relationship drama that, in my opinion, is interesting and well-deserved to see. Now, those are the gang, but here's something that ultimately I never thought we could see in Scooby Doo. Actual, reoccurring, interesting supporting characters. There are so many supporting characters in this that get so much good shine, some that have great personalities, it's just crazy. There's Sheriff Bronson Stone, of course the sheriff, who is voiced by Joe Swanson, which is awesome. And of course you have the mayor, you have the parents, and you just have an interesting, colorful cast here. And I'm honestly happy that they kept to this. They could have just made them the one-dimensional people that we don't care about, but no, we do come to get some interesting backstory on each and every one of these recurring characters, and we end up loving them, and we root for them whenever they have the spotlight thrown at them. So, very good and very effective writing here. I must give it that. And, of course, how could I talk about Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated without talking about the villains? Now, guys, this is where this show blows the other incarnations out of the water. As established, in the very first episode, there is an ongoing mystery that has yet to be solved and will take the gang on dangerous, dark paths that can actually seem pretty horrifying and lead to not great moments. That's all thanks to the villains. Now, the villains of this series are, of course, Mr. E, an ally who tries to help the gang, but is not clean himself, and it is his job to pretty much throw breadcrumbs at the gang to make them find the ultimate truth and mystery on Crystal Cove. His voice is amazing, and we actually do get some build-up and backstory to him, and when he's finally revealed, and you see his motives, it's very good, and he's arguably one of my favorite supporting villain characters. The best villain of this show is Professor Pericles. Now, Professor Pericles happens to belong to the original Mystery Incorporated, because as it's explained later down the road, there were other Mystery Incorporated gangs like the current ones, and their mascot was, of course, the smart one, Professor Pericles, but eventually he decided to abandon his gang and turn to a life of villainy, and he decided that he wanted ultimate power. And oh my god, his voice is intimidating as all hell. And his ultimate plan is, well, even though it's the stereotypical cliche villain, you actually do want to see where this is going. So yes, the villains in this are very well done. We also get some interesting capers. They have their interesting motivations on why they're choosing a life of crime. And it's just fun seeing the layers peel back on each of these characters. And I can't recommend enough on how good these are. It is just amazing. As I'm talking right now, I just can't fully do this show justice. Like, everything is well done here. The characters, the supporting characters, and the villains, all of them are well built, well told, and well written, and they feel like actual people instead of cartoon characters, and they actually become timeless incarnations that future incarnations of Scooby Doo won't be able to outdo. So yes, this is actually very good. But it doesn't stop there. The world building is also good. They choose to have this mostly take place in Crystal Cove, California. What's very unique about this setting from other settings is that it is advertised as the most haunted place on the planet. So yes, it has its own personal demons, and it mostly celebrates and advertises the fact that it has monsters, and it tries to constantly gain profit off of it, and the citizens are very gullible, but the people behind Crystal Cove make this town very interesting and very unique, and Crystal Cove in itself feels like a well-told character. And I never thought you could make a town into a character and have it be done with this much finesse other than Scooby Doo. It's crazy. And the ongoing mystery behind Crystal Cove and how it ties into the plot of this show, it's very good. There is not a single episode that doesn't immediately get you invested in the world it's trying to give you and the story it's trying to tell you. And I'm very surprised on how, in the end, Crystal Cove became, well, just as big of a supporting character as the actual characters themselves. Oh my goodness, you can see I can barely contain myself. This is very good. The music and the animation echo the 60s show and, of course, the other incarnations, but it takes an interesting and unique spin on it, and it's able to create its own identity and voice. And still to this day, I think the animation and the music will just be as timeless as the overall show. Throughout this whole video, you have seen that I have given so much credit to this show, and it all culminates into an amazing season that ends up on a bittersweet ending, and it actually has the Scooby Gang lose, and you see them break apart. But unlike that god-awful abomination of a movie, this was able to have the gang split up in a very interesting way. And when they finally return in Season 2, they're stronger than ever, and they're just trying to put a cap onto this mystery. And Season 2, I dare not spoil, because it ends up in an amazing series finale that puts Scooby Doo Apocalypse to shame. This is one of my favorite, if not my all-time favorite Scooby Doo shows. It has everything I ever could have wanted in it. Now, there are flaws, don't get me wrong. There are huge flaws in this. Sometimes the jokes may not get you to laugh, but they're still funny. Fred's obsession with traps can be seen as a little bit over-redundant. Velma can be... yeah, the less I say about her character later on, the better. But it does get better in Season 2. And ultimately, the show just ends when you want to see more. It lasted 2 seasons and 52 episodes, and it was in constant struggle with hiatuses and delays. And you could tell that each episode had so much quality put into it that you can see Cartoon Network's meddling behind the scenes and trying to get them to advertise this and put this out there as a kid-friendly show. But the creators and the staff stuck to their guns, and they decided that they wanted to make Scooby Doo interesting, and they wanted to make their own incarnation stand out among the rest. I can't believe I'm saying this, but yeah, this is hands down the best Scooby Doo show we have ever gotten and will probably ever get. There is so much to dive deep into here that I can't say or do it justice, but I can say this. Now, when it comes down to it, Scooby Doo will be remembered as that one show that you can't believe got lucky. It's a phenomenon. It's had so much success, it's crazy. But this show shows us that just because it's based off of a name, it doesn't mean it can do something different. And this show is different to its core. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize that I'm not able to talk about this to the best of my abilities. And I also apologize that I'm being over-redundant and I'm repeating myself. But if you want to see a more interesting, well-told, in-depth look at Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated and what makes it amazing and just ultimately what makes it the best of its kind, I would highly recommend you go check out this video down below. You guys will love it. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Mystery Incorporated is hands down the best Scooby Doo show ever made. And I know I didn't present a lot, but that's because I want you guys to go check it out for yourself. Now, I know we all have our own personal preference. We can enjoy the original. We can enjoy what's new. We can even love Zombie Island. But this show does what none of those other shows or movies did. It actually took the characters, it took the world, and it just took the overall concept, and it turned it upside down and made it into something original and new that chances are makes it a one-of-a-kind classic and makes it something you can't believe got on TV. I would highly recommend you guys go check this out, and if you guys don't enjoy it, that's fine. We all have our own taste and personal preference, but I highly recommend you give the show a chance. And if you want my personal recommendation of episodes, I would recommend you go check out the first episode, and once you've gotten through a couple of the episodes, I would check out the season finale, the season 1 finale. You really will enjoy it, and whether or not it'll be your favorite Scooby Doo show, it's up to you. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, I hope I did a good job to the best of my abilities to explain to you why I love the show and why it is the best show ever made. But that's just my opinion. So if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, hit that little subscribe button, hit that little bell icon to be notified of all my videos, and let's get a discussion going about it. I really love to hear your guys' opinions and thoughts. And until then, ladies and gentlemen, this is Korra Kenobi saying, may the force be with you. And until then, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you guys for the next video. Bye, everybody.
Scoby Doo.